if you're listening, find a way to move yourself today. The more you move, I swear, the longer you will live. It's the best insurance you can make on your body right now. It is. Go out there and do something for yourself.
All right, welcome back to the Spero Hope podcast, where we take storytelling to a whole new level by sharing amazing patient stories, interview experts in the community, and share resources for clinicians and students. So today we have with us Liz Ferguson. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for being a guest on the podcast. And Liz is a mother and a runner, and so I'm really looking forward to hearing her story. So can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what do you do for a living, and what do you do for fun?
Sure. I am Liz Ferguson. I live in Austin, Texas. I've been here for a little over 15 years, so I kind of consider it home, even though I was born and raised in Virginia, but lived here. And my kids have, born and raised here, so I kind of feel like we just kind of feel like we're from here now. I am a full-time stay-at-home mom. I'm a part-time fitness instructor, running coach. And then for fun, I like to obviously run. I like to spend time with my family, cheer my kids' sports on, go to concerts, bake, those kind of things. Just hang out with the family.
I love that. Have you always had a passion for exercise?
Yes, I played sports competitively in high school. Was not a runner per se, but played like soccer, lacrosse, those kinds of things. But always has had a passion for challenging myself, I guess you could say, in a physical way. I never was super competitive in terms of winning, more just like seeing what I could do myself. And I found running to be something that can kind of give you that. You can be competitive with yourself, but you can also make new goals for yourself, whether it's run a mile, run for 10 minutes, run a marathon. You can just always make new challenges for yourself. That's kind of like why I started really enjoying it more than other fitness avenues.
I love that. And if you want to share with our listeners something that's a little bit unique about your running, is like how much have you run over the past 9 years?
So I have this thing called a running streak, which I started on May 4th, 2014. Didn't intend to start it then, but that's when it started. So the definition of a run streak, there is actually a group called the Run Streakers Association of America, and they have like a list. It's all on your honor, and they have a list, and they have everybody, how many years they've done it. But for my run streak, I have to run a minimum of 2 miles a day. It has to be continuous 2 miles, so it can't be like run 20 seconds to the parking lot and run back. It has to be 2 miles nonstop. It has to be within the 24-hour period. So it can't be like start before midnight and start after midnight, and to count for the streak. So I started this on May 4th, not any intention, like I said, to start it, but I figured I would try to run every day over the summer. At the time I had 2 super small kids, and I figured if I could make 20, 30 minutes a day to do it. And so I made it the whole summer. And so I said, okay, I should make it to the end of the year. So then I made it to the end of the year. And then I'm like, well, I need to make it back to where I started. And so then it just kind of snowballed from there, where it just became like almost like a habit. Like I do get a lot of, I don't know what the word is, like negative energy from making it a habit, but it's almost, to me now, it's like a daily, like I just do it. It's just like brushing your teeth, putting your seatbelt on. There's no not doing it, obviously, unless I'm hurt, but I haven't been hurt, luckily.
That is amazing. And so what is your streak currently?
So I'm at a little over 9.5 years. I'm closing in on 10 years. So I think it's like roughly 3,200 some days.
Liz, that is so amazing.
When you say it like that, it's crazy.
It is
crazy.
amazing. It's like, to put into perspective, like you've run every day for almost the past 10 years.
And it's not like something where it's people who maybe don't know about running or don't know about exercise. It's not intense every day. I'm not killing myself every day. I mean, there's days where you do go hard, but some days it's just, I need to get out of my house for 20 minutes. I need to reset myself, or I need to wake up and just think through some things. just and I also think movement of any kind is just such a therapy for anybody. If you can move, whether it's walking, running, just getting up and moving your arms around, getting off your seat and just getting clarity, it just helps you so much. I'm a big proponent of movement. And I'm also a big proponent of just being thankful that you can move, because there's so many people out there that can't move. And that's just so important to me, just to the ability to move, you should take advantage of it.
I agree 1000%. Are there days when you wake up and you're like, I really don't feel like running today? And so how do you tap into the motivation to do so?
There's definitely days, and there's definitely times where I'm even started a run and like, I do not want to do this. And it's just my thing is always, I like to do it first thing in the morning, because then you don't have any excuse. You don't have any way to talk yourself out of it. You don't really know what the weather is. You're just like, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to like answer this email, or I'm not going to, take this phone call or do this laundry or whatever the case may be. So I like to get up super early. If it means like, we have something all day, we're traveling, whatever, I'll just try to get up early. But if I don't want to do it, I tell myself, go for 10 minutes. And if you still don't want to do it, then go back. And 9 times out of 10, you'll just keep going. And if you don't, you've already done 10 minutes out. So you'll just come back and do 10 more minutes, and you at least did something. So I feel like if you could just talk yourself in for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is honestly, in the scheme of your day, is not that much time just to move. But same thing if I feel like, I'm going to tell my husband here, but if he's having a bad day at work or he's going through something, I'm like, just get outside or just move for 10 minutes and come back. Even if you don't work out, you just want to walk the dog, you just go out and move and come back, and you'll just be a little bit more centered, be a little bit different.
I love that. And especially when you put it into perspective, 10 minutes in 24 hours is not that huge of a commitment. But I think
I think that even the progress of like someone saying like an hour of your day is like, if you were exercise for an hour a day, it's only like 6% of your day.
Wow.
Which in that context is not a lot. Like you have 23 more hours to do what you want to do. And I also think it goes back to like what you value. I know people say I don't have time. And then there's people that do not have time to exercise. I understand that. But people who say they don't have time are people that I'm like, oh, I know you're on Facebook for 30 minutes a day. Or I know you're watching Netflix for whatever. So like is this what you value? Like if you don't value it, then you don't make time for it. That's anything. If you value reading, you're going to read. If you value, gardening, you're going to garden. You're going to carve out that time, whatever it is. And so for me, it's just obviously running, but I just think if I can move my body in some way every day, just makes me feel better. It makes me a better person for everybody.
I love that. Do you run the same route every day, or like what has been your most beautiful scenic run you've had?
Oh, wow. I've run probably the most beautiful, there's probably 2. There's a road in Virginia that I love to run on when I go back home. And it's just a farm road, and there's barely any cars on it. And it's 4 miles out and 4 miles back. And it's just like farms and cows and horses. And it's quiet. And like, I love running that. And then I've also run across the Grand Canyon. So from the south side to the north side. Yeah, it was like a run walk, because parts of it you can't run because it's so steep. But that was just, I did it in COVID. So there wasn't many people there. And my husband dropped me off, and then he drove around and picked me up. And so it took about 8 hours, but that was probably the most beautiful and the most like peaceful, because I always tell people it was so quiet that it was almost loud, because it was so quiet down there and still, and just the beauty of earth there was amazing. So those are probably my most scenic runs, I would say. But normally I just run in my neighborhood, or I go down to Town Lake and run. So it's not very, very scenic, but I do have, I'd say 3 or 4 days a week, I have a good base of friends who will meet me for running. So to me, that's, if I'm talking and running and meeting them, I have more to look forward to than just looking around. So
I love that. First of all, I didn't know it was possible to like run in like the area of the Grand Canyon. And then I know you say you have to walk some places.
You can walk it too.
Yeah. That sounds so beautiful.
You should do it. Aww. Walk across the Grand Canyon. It's 24 miles. You could walk it. You could walk, run it. It took us about 8 hours, but we ran, and we took pictures. So we weren't really moving that fast, but it's actually harder going down than going back up. Like this, it's so steep going down that it was harder for me than walking back up, but it's so beautiful.
That makes sense. And then Liz, you've also run you've run several marathons, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how many marathons have you run?
I've run 55 marathons.
Wow.
And then I've run 3 ultramarathons, which is more than
100, right? Yes, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
So, yeah.
That's amazing. How was the
you.
transition from like short distance to long distance running? Did it come pretty naturally?
It was a long progression for me. Like when I started running in high school and college, I would only run like 3 or 4 miles at a time. To me, the biggest barrier was to run like more than 6 miles. That seemed like crazy. It took me probably 2 or 3 years to even go past 6 miles. And then from there, I probably went to 10 miles. And then a couple more years went by because you have to get your confidence up. It's scary when you run that far or that long, and it's tiring and you're not used to it. So I would say from the time I started running to the time I ran a marathon was probably 4 years, maybe 5 years, because it's a big commitment to do a marathon and train for it. And that's a bigger commitment than running every day.
Yes. Have you faced any injuries since like starting to run?
So I've had nothing that's been super serious. Like I haven't torn anything or broke anything. I did have an injury which led me to Spero and to see Dr. Matt and Dr. Cole. I had like a small shin injury that was, I guess they would call it like a tendonitis, where the tendon was super angry. So it was kind of like creaky almost. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was like, it didn't want to lengthen. So every time I pushed off my foot, it didn't want to give me any length on that muscle. And so it was super sore, but through the advice of Spero, I was able to get good exercises, I guess pre-run exercises that I had not been doing that would fire up those muscles to get them. I was just kind of running cold at that time, like wake up or do some things and go run, which as you get older, you can't do as much. And so the same thing with stretching after running, you have to get your body ready to go run. And so I've had that. And then the other thing I had, which is kind of what led me to running every day in a way, but I had suffered from anemia really bad, low iron, just because women tend to suffer from it more often. And also with running, and then also with giving birth, I just caught myself in a hole. And I didn't realize, which a lot of women don't, that you're anemic. You feel tired, but you're like, oh, I'm just tired because I'm running. I'm just tired because I'm a mom. I'm just tired because I'm getting the flu. You don't really know. It's such a gradual thing that happens to you that you can't put your finger on it, and you can't just draw your own blood and know that you're anemic. And so that was probably, I don't know if you call that an injury, but that was like a setback, because being anemic is like living on a mountain. You're so out of breath at everything you do and tired all the time. So, but luckily I overcame that.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. And then you mentioned motherhood too. So you're a full-time mother. So have you always been a stay-at-home mom? How many kids do you have?
So I used to be a teacher. I taught school up until my daughter was like 2, but it just financially made more sense for me to stay home. Teachers don't make that much money with daycare costs. And so then I've been staying at home since then. I have 2 kids, and I'm stay-at-home mom. I know you can't really put your finger on it. You would do everything, but it doesn't look like you do everything, but you're doing everything. So mostly it consists of just driving my kids around, and I volunteer at both their schools. I volunteer at both their swim teams. I volunteer on their football team. So it's like I do all the things. My kids are 16 and 10. And so they're totally different points of life. Like one is in high school and just needs like a little bit more emotional support. And then my son is 10 and he needs more of still like helping him remind him to do homework and helping him go to bed. And so balancing that is hard with fitness, because I don't want to miss anything that they're doing. So a lot of it requires getting up early or running when they're practicing, or going late, which I hate. And then of course my husband's schedule and making time for the family. It's just a jigsaw puzzle. I could not do it without them, because they're so supportive. Like they are probably the most supportive people, because they know that I love to run, and they know it's important to mom for me to go run. And they're always like, I just did a race in Austin like 3 weeks ago, and it was a 50-mile race. And so they knew it was going to be all day. And making signs and coming down there. And my
Aww.
daughter is texting me as I'm running, like, Mom, come on, pick it up. You got this. And so it's like, I could
Aww.
not have asked for a better support system. And my husband too, like, he knows he's into running and biking, but he knows, like, this is her thing. I love it. And he's so supportive. Like, he'll, ignore the piles of running shoes I have in the garage, or, but they're great. Like, they make it easy to find the time because they know it's important to me. But the flip side is, I let them find the time for the things that they want to do, and I'm supportive of them. So I think it's important, though, because it would be hard if I think my family didn't understand or didn't like to exercise or didn't do sports, because then they would be like, what are you doing?
I love that, and I think it's such like great example. Like, you basically modeling what an active lifestyle and a healthy lifestyle looks like for your kids, and it's like it's contagious. So everyone that's around you,
It's
it's
so
like,
contagious.
I should do it. I'm talking to you. I'm like, okay, I have not run today. I need to go outside before the sun goes down and like put a run in.
Right.
It's very contagious.
And my mom was like, my mom exercised. She walked when we were little, and she played tennis, and she did like the 80s aerobics or whatever. And I feel like she still walks. She just called me before this call, and she was going to the gym to walk on the treadmill, and she's in her 70s. So it's like, I feel like I knew that was what you did. Like, and so I feel like playing sports helped, and then you just naturally do it, and modeling for your kids. Like, one of my best memories is the first time my daughter ran a 5K with me, because she's not a runner. She doesn't like to run. She swims. And so for her to do that was like out of her comfort zone, but it's like a memory that I always have, because she's like, I want to help, I want to go with Mom and try to run this race. And she's like 10. And it's so important to model that for your kids, modeling any good behavior, really, whether it's kindness or exercise or eating healthy or.
I agree. What do you think is probably like the biggest misconception people have about like leading an active lifestyle? I know earlier we talked a little bit about thinking that there's not enough time. What do you think are some other things that keep people from engaging in an active lifestyle?
I think number one is the time, obviously. But I think if you break it down for somebody, some people like a schedule, they want to write it down, they'll do it. But also, like I said, it's making that time. Like, there's so many distractions in life. I understand you're pulled in so many different ways, but if you, like I said, if you can, even if you don't want to go run, if you just want to sit in your house and you want to do push-ups and sit-ups between your show, or you want to do squats while you're brushing your teeth, it's, if you make a little bit of time for yourself in that way, it doesn't seem as overwhelming. The other thing too, I know it's like people come back from the holidays and they want to get into it, fitness routine. My main thing is, I feel like a lot of people go too hard too fast. Like, there's no need to kill yourself. And you don't have to go run 3 miles, 4 miles. You could just go out. Like I tell my husband, go and walk 10 minutes. If you walk 10 minutes a day, then the next day, maybe do that for a couple weeks. Next time you're going to want to do 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I just think it's small steps. If you do small steps and small changes, they become habits. And then when it becomes a habit, you want to do it more often. And then the other thing I will say about that is that people always view exercise as being uncomfortable or painful. It doesn't need to be that. It needs to be something that you enjoy. So if you like dancing, or you like swimming, or you like, playing golf and walking the golf course, it doesn't have to be the suffering that everyone kind of makes it out to be. Like, you're not pouring sweat and just in the gym, like, hating your life. Like, it should be something that you enjoy, right? Like,
Yes.
Hiking is exercise. Gardening is exercise. Just doing something that's not sitting is just going to benefit you so much in your life, I believe.
I love that. I think that's such great advice, especially the one about like finding a form of exercise that you enjoy and it not being torture. As a physical therapist, I feel like I hear once a day like that PT is like
Right?
pain and torture. And I'm like,
pain and torture.
But let's find fun ways to move. And then I also liked how you say not going too hard too soon, but breaking it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what, like when I read the story, your story in Runners Magazine, I think something that I thought was so beautiful is that to me the running streak, like is the evidence of like consistency. So it's literally you doing something every single day. And that
it's
piece is huge.
It's huge. And I was saying earlier, I've had a lot of negative, like, not directly from my friends or anything, but negative outlook on why I run every day. And it's like, people say, oh, it's so, OCD, it's so obsessive. But I'm like, it's just a discipline that I do. And to me, it's almost like freedom. I know that I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I feel better about myself when I do it. And maybe it is a little crazy to you, the outsider, but to me, it's complete freedom that I have that locked in my day. And it's like, I feel like people say things that are negative about it because maybe they want to do it themselves and they can't for whatever reason. But, people do the same things every day and they don't get negative feedback for it. But just doing it every day, making it a part of your day is just a habit for me. And I think if you do something little like that every day, it just becomes a habit for yourself rather than putting it off for the next day. I'll do it tomorrow, because you can keep saying that and you never will do it.
Yeah. I love that so much, and I think it's very, very commendable. And I agree with
Thank
you.
you.
We all have things we do every day, and so it's inspiring and commendable that you're engaging in something that is healthy, that brings you good things like every single day. I love that. Do you
Thank
ever
you.
miss teaching, or not
I
at all?
I did. I was subbing for a while before COVID, and then once COVID had, I haven't gone back in the classroom. I do teach group fitness. I teach a running class downtown, which is kind of like teaching little kids in a way. But I hope to go back to teaching at some point. I'd love to be a PE teacher. I wasn't a PE teacher before. I think I'd like to be a PE teacher.
I love that. What does a running class consist of?
So it's a class downtown, and you're on a treadmill, and there's loud music. It's kind of like a spin class, but on a treadmill. So they'll call out intervals, like you're going to run 1 minute at your level 3, which out of, let's say you have levels 1 through 5. So 5 would be like a sprint. Level 3 would be like kind of pushing it. Or you're going to walk at level 3, whatever is kind of like getting your heart rate in that zone of whatever. And you do that for like a minute, and then you'll go level 1, super easy. And so it's kind of like an interval based running class, kind of targeting people that may be intimidated to start running, or maybe don't feel safe to go run by themselves. Maybe don't know what to do when they run. Maybe like the treadmill aspect because you have to stay on with the speed. Like you can't you can't just stop. You can't just fall off. So, there's that aspect, I guess. Or like the music, like people like the music just blasting and not have to think about their breathing or how much it hurts, and everyone else is doing it. So it's, I feel like people that are afraid to join like a running group per se, because there's lots of running groups in Austin, this could be an option for you. It's just kind of like, it's like a class, but you don't feel intimidated like you would in a gym because everyone's on the treadmill and it's pretty dark. So it's not like if you go to like a class at the gym, you're doing weights and I don't know what I'm doing. It's, people don't like that being uncomfortable feeling, which is very intimidating. If you haven't been in a gym, it can be intimidating. So, but if people are looking for groups to run with, there's so many groups that meet downtown. Totally free groups too that meet. There's a group that meets, at the lake, at Joe's Coffee, all speeds, all paces. There's a group that meets in Circle C, which is near Spero. They meet on Saturdays at 7:30. So yeah, there's tons of ways to get active.
I love that. Do you have any upcoming goals or upcoming races that you signed up for?
My last big goal is I did a 50 miler a couple weeks ago, like I said, in Austin. My next one is I'm running the Austin Marathon. I do that every year just because it's in town. I love it. And then I'm running the Big Sur Marathon in California. Yes, I'm so excited about that one. It's going to be so gorgeous. I can't wait. But other than that, I just have my daily runs in the neighborhood, or with my friends, or with my dog, or.
I love that. Have you ever run like internationally, like Berlin or any of the other like big city marathons?
I haven't gone international. I've done New York and Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Marine Corps. But I haven't gone international. I really want to, but like I'm worried about the time change and like how would you feel, and
yeah.
But my dad's Australian, so I'd like to do one in Australia.
That's amazing, Liz. You're like really inspiring me.
Oh, you're
really,
so sweet.
Really inspire me. I love.
You're so easy to talk to.
Thank you so much. I love that. Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you would like to mention, or any shout outs that you want to give to anybody that you'd like to say thank you for the role they play in your life?
Of course, like to shout out to my family, my husband and my kids, for always being supportive, and of course my parents and my siblings, because when I'm on vacation with them, they know, okay, she's got to go find a place to run. Like, but they usually are just begrudgingly will go with me too. So, of course, my family. And then Dr. Matt and Spero for getting the connection with you, because I love what you guys are doing over there in every aspect of your patient care, but also just how much you are involved in the community. Like you're always having a tent somewhere at the turkey trot or a local race, or you're doing their wheelchair mile at the burger center. Like I just love how much community involvement you guys have. And I feel like I can mention y'all's name to anybody and they know that they're going to be in good hands. Gosh, who else could I mention? Just like the ladies I run with, if they listen to this, because I do have a good core group of girls that will meet me to run. And I'll run any pace. I'll run, walk. I will run fast. I mean, we could talk I can talk to people for hours while I run. It seems like, how would you talk to people when you're running? But that's how I do a lot of catching up with people, work out problems. But I think that would be it.
So that kind of answers my question, because I was also thinking, do you listen to anything when you run? Do you run in silence?
So I'm all over the place. So a lot of times I like to run in silence, especially if I'm going through like I need to figure things out or I need to organize my day or work out a problem. I'll run in silence. I do like to listen to podcasts sometimes. I do like to listen to music if I want to go fast. And then if I'm meeting a friend, we'll just chat. We'll talk about kids, motherhood. We'll talk about traveling. We'll talk about movies. And, I don't even know what we talk about sometimes. It just starts one way and goes completely the other way.
Liz, that is like peak stamina. That's like that's amazing that you like run and then have conversations with your friends at the same time. That's awesome.
We do. We have like all these conversations. Then I come back and my family's just waking up for the day at 7 a.m. and I'm like, I've already talked to this person. This is what's going on.
Next
They're like,
trip.
oh. Right. I feel like we were going here. They're like, what are you talking about?
Oh, I love that. Any other parting words or final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. If you're listening, find a way to move yourself today. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes, if you want to do some stretches, if you want to walk outside, if you want to just do some yoga poses, walk your dog, do something to move, because the more you move, I swear, the longer you will live. It's the best insurance you can make on your body right now. It is. Go out there and do something for yourself and you'll feel better. You'll feel better about yourself, and that will resonate to everyone around you, your workplace, your family, your sleep, everything. You'll make better choices if you could just move a little bit today. And that's what I'll have to say, probably.
I love that. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation.
Of course.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.